Hello, I'm Carly McAvoy. I wanted to do a brief video to introduce you to this probability and statistics class and why you should take it. Because many people understand algebra and what that's about, but they really don't have an idea of what kind of things they would learn in a statistics class or why they would want to take a statistics class. Researchers are constantly researching and reporting their findings. In the first example I have here, it says the annual survey of 70,000 people aged 12 and under and older across the United States revealed that between 2002 and 2013, substance dependence or abuse problems among this age group also dropped from 8.9% to 5.2%. Later on in the article, it goes on to say that in 2013, about 11% of preteens and teens drove under the influence of alcohol at least once in the past year, down from over 14% in 2002. Well, I don't know what they consider preteens, but in my opinion, anything below 13. Their study started at age 12. And so when we're talking about preteens in their study, we're actually talking about one age in their whole study that was actually a preteen. And how many 12-year-olds do you think were driving under the influence of alcohol? Would it be enough to influence this number? Should they even be included in that? It starts to make me wonder when I read that. So sometimes we just read things and we hear it and whatever, but you have to stop and think, what are they actually saying, and does it make sense to you? The other one that I found recently that I thought was interesting was a study in 12 urban schools released this year by the Rudd Center for Food Policy and Obesity at the University of Connecticut, found the proportion of students choosing a vegetable dropped to 52% in 2014 from 68% in 2012, but that students selecting vegetables ate nearly 20% more of them. And my question here, and it maybe is a totally legitimate, great study, but my question is, how do they know that they ate 20% more of their vegetables in over a 2-year span? Was somebody standing there and weighing what was thrown into the trash? And did they weigh it before they got it to know what percent they actually ate of it? Was this something that students reported themselves or teachers? Somebody said, yeah, it looks like they're doing this or that. I mean, those kind of reports brings questions to mind. Also, people are saying things that you may not understand. For instance, the Gallup polls, you're familiar with that, they say that daily results are based on telephone interviews with approximately 1,500 national adults. And then it says margin of error plus or minus 3 percentage points. What does that mean? Do you know? Well, stick around and you could figure that out. We're going to talk about margin of error this quarter. What about this one? Student growth percentiles are used to measure teacher effectiveness. Do you know what percentiles are exactly? Would you know how to figure that out if somebody said something to you with those? What's a student growth percentile? Well, that is actually not part of the class, but student growth is just like what the achievement is, what's going on, and then they look at their percentile, and based on that, they measure whether this teacher is any good or not. We're going to study margin of error, we're going to study percentile, and we're also going to study odds. And odds is something that people sometimes get confused between the percentage and the odds in favor or odds against. When you go to a race, races like horse races, they talk about the odds of winning. And what does that actually mean? This one says the path begins with the odds of your dad meeting your mom, which is 1 in 20,000. This is multiplied by the chances of them staying together long enough to have kids, another 1 in 2,000, and so on. The probability of you existing at all comes out to 1 in 10 to the 2,685,000th power. That's that many zeros followed by the 10 followed by that many zeros. And he concludes that the odds of you being alive are basically 0. But what are odds? So we should talk about that too. And then you are affected by statistics. Statistics in quantitative studies help politicians and leaders at all levels of government recognize problems, formulate plans to address the issues, and they campaign to make changes to those problems or issues that they found. That means that that's going to affect you. Maybe your taxes will go up because they've decided the school needs something, or maybe your amount of aid that you get every month goes down. So there's things that could affect you. Advertisers put statistics into their ads to get you to buy their products. You may make big life decisions based on statistics that you've heard, like whether or not to get married, or to buy a house, or become a poet, or to move to a big city, or carry a gun, or let your children sleep in your bed. Anything that you do may be based on something that somebody heard a statistic at some point and said, hey, I heard that kids that sleep in their parents' bed are 20% less likely to be whatever. So those things can change your life. And the amount of money you pay for car insurance is based on the statistical studies that show your age group to be more or less likely to have an accident, and so many other ways. So it behooves us all to know a little bit of these things that are actually affecting our life and maybe our choices in life. In conclusion, this class will not prepare you to carry out statistical research, but it will familiarize you with basic terminology used in statistical research. It will help you understand basic probability and expected value problems. It will introduce you to the difference between a good and a bad sample set and some basic techniques used by researchers to draw conclusions about the population at large. And it will give you the tools to become a more informed consumer and citizen. So I hope you enjoy the class. I look forward to working with you.